Okay, cool. Um, I'll share my screen shortly, but I just want to make sure that we kind of understand the purpose of this sort of initiative that we were working on. Um, so you guys have been working on catalog, right? And enabling both agents and flows and catalogs. But we really want to make the flows and agents that we're creating the catalog usable. So one of the ways we did that is we enabled agents for chat, and so that made it usable to customers, so customers could then actually use those custom agents. And then we wanted to do the same for flows, where when we want to be able to trigger flows when various events happen on the platform. So um, let's say you at mention a user that triggers a flow, or a pipeline fails that triggers a flow, or there's a merge conflict, you trigger a flow, right? And so there are various like events like that which you want to be able to trigger flows on. And so the idea is that customers can go and say, oh, I want this flow from the catalog and I want to trigger this, when this event happens. And we've delivered a part of that in 18.5 key, and Justin, both of you guys have been involved in that, and so you guys are quite aware of some of that work that happened, right? Um, but one of the issues that we've had is related to identity. Like this agent that is triggered in the background needs to have an identity because we want to attribute any changes that the agent does for security purposes to that agent. So we want to say, hey, this agent or this flow was responsible, this person was responsible for making this change. And then we also want to make sure that when we grant access, the customers grant explicit access to those users to actually make changes in their projects, right? And so that's really the rule, and that's why this whole governance piece comes into play, where we want to be able to have some sort of bubble around what can the agent do, right? And make sure that they can't like go and do something that's not meant to be. And so we had introduced this idea of composite identity a few milestones ago. It was originally created for Amazon Q, but then there were some security holes there which were plugged in the past releases. But basically, what composite identity lets you do is it has the two entities involved here. There's a service account, which is the agent that represents the agent, and then um, there's a user. And so the access that the agent gets finally is an intersection of what the service account can do and what the user can do, right? So if the user could modify a certain set of projects, and the service account could do a certain other set of projects, only the projects that they have in common they can actually touch, right? And so that was basically the idea behind composite identity. Um, and so in order for all this to work, we need the ability to associate these flows with service accounts. And the main limitation right now is we don't have service accounts at all levels. So we have service accounts only at two levels, the instance level or at the root group level, the top level group level. We don't have service accounts at subgroups, and we don't have service accounts in projects. And so we can't do fully granular access as we would like to, but that's coming in a future releases. In 2 to 3 milestones, hopefully we should be able to create service accounts at all levels, if that makes sense. Okay. So the sort of the decision that we made from a both user experience and security standpoint is what is the flow that I don't know. Have you seen the demo that I uploaded? Or have you not? It's fine if you haven't. I can walk you through it right now, straight away.
Sorry, which demo for
I
service
I
account
posted
specifically, or
yeah, the service accounts and the whole process of assigning flows to groups and stuff like that. Did you see that? I posted it yesterday,
I
so
can't. No,
maybe
then no. If it was yesterday,
that's
then no.
fine. That's fine. I can walk you guys through it. Anyway, um, so the idea is that you have your so I'm at the group level right now. So I've got this the top level group in my GDK called GitLab Duo, right? And the first thing we want to do in order to use flows is to assign flows to this top level group. So we need like this automate option at the group level, which it doesn't currently exist, where we can then add flows to the group. So we should be able to click on add flow, and that should be able to take us to the catalog where we can actually go ahead and add the flow to the group. So we've got this Duo developer flow, which is present, which I should be able to just say add to project to group, add it to the group, and then automatically a service account should be created for that group specifically with that flow name. So the way we're creating it is flow name and underscore group name. And there's some, if you see the epic, there's some agreement there. I think there's an AI prefix as well. And actually, we won't make this an option. Like in my demo right now, this is an option saying, "Oh, create service account." But the idea really is that we will always create a service account. And we just inform the user that we'll be creating a service account the moment you associate a flow to a group. Okay. So the moment I click on add, this also then it associates the flow to the group, but also creates a service account. So I go back to my group level and click on flows. You can see that the Duo developer flow has now been added to the my list of flows in the group. And then if I go to service account here, you can see that a special service account is created for that Duo developer, a unique service account. Okay, so this is done by the group administrator. So the group administrator goes and at a group level associates a flow first. So that's the first governance point is that a group administrator goes and adds the flow to the group, saying my group is allowed to use these flows. Okay, and for each of those flows, we create a corresponding service account with the flow name. All right. So that's step one. Step two is okay, the flow has been added to the group. Now a project administrator. So I work on a project in a group, right? And I want to go and as a part of this project, now I want to say, okay, I want to use this flow. So again, I go to automate flows on the project level. And here I say I want to add a flow from what was available in the group level. Again, this is a change from what happens today because today you can just add any flow from the catalog. What we want to do is restrict the flows to the ones which are at the group level. So if I say add flow from group, I should be able to select a list of flows that are available at the group level. And then another change from what happens today is we want to make this user experience better. This is something that Bill wanted, is that the ability to add triggers straight away when I add a flow to a project. So I'm adding a flow to a project. So I am adding this Duo developer flow to the project, and I should be able to just say, I want to add the mention, assign, and assign reviewer triggers. And once I click on add flow, so the flow should be added to the project and the corresponding flow triggers should also be created, which is like this auto created triggers, which is the three triggers that we spoke about. So that's already added. The other thing that needs to be done is we need to also add, the moment we like associate a flow to a group. So the way I did this, I also need to assign that to the project member. So the flow needs to be added as a project member because that enables the identity to then be used on that project. Okay, so this needs to be added as a project member, as a developer member on the project, right? And so that was done as soon as we sort of added the flow to the project, we did this as well. And then the final step, once this is all sort of complete, is um, the final step once this is all done is that the users can then now this was done by a project maintainer. So a project maintainer had to go add the flow to a group. And then the last step is that at an issue as a developer now on the project, I should be able to go to any issue MR and then just use any of the triggers. So I could go and assign this issue, for example, to Duo developer, right? So I could do that, or I could go and I could actually go and just add mention to Duo developer here and say, oh, could you implement this issue for me, right? And so something like that I could do as well, if that makes sense. So the idea is that the three users here, there's a group administrator who does the there's a group administrator who adds the flows to the group that creates the corresponding service accounts. There is the project maintainer, which goes and adds flows to a project, and that sort of does the whole relationship of adding the flow as a project member. And then finally, the developers on the project, like you and I, can just go and at mention the flows and say, oh, please do X for me, or do this, do a security review for me, or whatever else the flow is meant to do. Okay. Does this kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's essentially what we're trying to get to in 18.6 is get this whole agent identity journey figured out so that we can implement exactly this for flows. So right now the gaps are that we don't have, or I believe there is maybe an existing issue for this, by the way. Um, but we don't have flows at there's no ability to have flows at group level, so we need to do that, right? Both from a UI standpoint and from the backend standpoint. From the backend, I think we might be able to do that. I think there's a group ID there somewhere. I could be wrong, or a namespace ID or something. Um, but from the backend perspective, when a flow is added to a group, one of the things we definitely need to do is create a service account for that flow. That makes sense, right? The second thing we need to do is from a front end perspective, um, when I'm on a project and I go and say, so I should be able to assign. So this is a change from a front end perspective is when I'm in a project, I should be able to add flows from a group. So I should be able to say add flows from group to the project. And then I should be able to select a flow, only the flows which are available at the group level, and then also automatically create triggers, right? Again, this is probably a back end front end change to actually also create triggers when a flow is added to a group. And then when you do that, the other backend changes that we should also add that flow user as a project member here. This one, as you see. Okay, so that's essentially the whole piece. Questions?
Um, so I guess we don't need to be able to create any flows or agents in the group level. They can still be created in the project level. We just need to be able to enable them in the group level. Correct?
You don't need to be able to say that again.
Create the agents or flows in the group level. We can still create them in the project level,
Project level.
and
Yeah,
we
the
just need
creation
to
of
enable
the.
them.
You're right.
In,
From the
yeah.
catalog, you should be able to create. Um, so when you create a flow in the catalog, that always gets assigned to a project and a group. That doesn't change. This
Okay.
is different than the innate. So there are two things in the catalog, right? So a catalog item here. So this is either agent or a flow. Has two kind of things. It has a source project. The source project is where you create this thing,
Mm.
right? So this is like this is where the thing is created, right? And I like to call this the publisher project, but whatever. We could call this a source or publisher project. This is who is publishing that flow. And then there is the project, the consumer
Consumer.
projects, right? That's where the flows are actually consumed, right? Consumer projects and groups, right? So the publisher project, when you create a flow, that's the publisher project you mentioned here, right? This is a project as a publisher, which project I want this to be a part of, right? And then when I'm consuming it, we were talking about adding it to a group first and then to a project, and that was basically the flow. So we were talking about the consumer projects primarily, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just double checking.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. One thought around this. So on the front end, we are making some changes, and now the project creation goes back to the project or the source project to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to happen on the Explorer level anymore. It's going to happen inside the project. And one addition to that is that once you create it in the project, it will enable it immediately as a consumer. So
Yes,
you
exactly.
create,
That's a
yeah,
great point. That's a great point. So you're saying when I create it in the project, we should automatically create the consumer records, the group level and the project level consumer records as well, right? That's what you're
yeah.
saying?
So right now it's already happening with a
Okay.
parameter. So when you create an agent or a flow, in a project, it also creates
Yeah.
the consumer project.
Yeah.
So right now, when you add the extra step of the group, now do we have to also apply it like
Yeah.
automatically enable the
Exactly.
group? Okay.
Exactly. So we need to add it to the group and to the project. So you're saying the project is already done. We should also add it to the group level automatically. And not just that, also when you do it, you should also add the service account to the
Service
group level.
accounts
Yeah.
and yeah,
Well, I'm
okay.
not sure if that will be possible because the user who creates an item in the project might not be the maintainer of the parent group, so won't be able to create a service account or create things in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. Like we should do it if they are also a group owner, I think. If they're not a group owner, then we'll have to show them a message saying, "Hey, you'll have to ask the group owner to add this before we can actually create the consumers." Because
Could they still
we don't want
create
to
it though?
break the hierarchy.
Sorry. I'm wondering if they could still create it, just not have it enabled in the group. So like the agent
Yeah,
exists or the flow exists now, and then the
yeah,
group owner just comes along and clicks an enable button.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, great.
okay. So second question from my side.
Hmm.
So from what I saw in your demo, it seems that the group and the project UI are now not the same, if that makes sense, right? Because on the group level, you'll be adding the flows or enabling the flows from the project, or sorry, from the explore level. And on
Hmm.
the project, you're only adding from the group, but then it's a slightly different UI, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Mm. Okay. Okay. We'll have to look into how that works.
Hmm.
Okay, one more question. Do we want to apply that for both agents and flows?
I think we will need to. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't know how complex it is to do it for both versus one. Um, I feel like if you're doing it, we should do it for both. But if it's very hard to do it for agents something, then we should do it for only one. Like, but we should follow the same process for both agents and flows.
Hmm. Um, I mean, it's not, I would say, hard because at least on the front end, lots of the code is pretty much copy pasted or it's
Hmm.
very similar, right? Um, but it will kind of have a few difficulties of uh, our plan to release agents as beta, right? Because
Hmm.
uh, right now we are kind of having a solid flow and making drastic changes really close to beta would be, I wouldn't say hard, but it might introduce bugs that we are not aware of.
Okay, so let's just do it for flows then. Let's just start this
Mhm.
for flows and not for agents now. And then perhaps next release we can do for agents as well. So let's figure that out. Like, I don't think it's this whole agents and flows thing is kind of getting a bit confusing and out of
Mm.
hand in certain places. And so we have a few discussions lined up to sort of consolidate those anyway. So, but let's presume that agents remain as it is today.
Yeah, okay. Mm.
How much of the demo that you just showed us was functional versus just dummy code?
Uh, It is functional.
Okay.
I have done all the front end is vibe coded, I
Okay.
would admit. And so it's quite bad, but I'll push up the MR if that helps you guys at all.
Okay. And it is actually creating the service accounts and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
signing
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, but what's expected of us is to make that into more production ready code. If it's not, if it's
Certainly. It's far
okay.
from production ready,
Okay. Cool.
I would say.
Uh, all right. So yeah, basically what we've got to do is take what you've done, turn it into production code,
Yeah, break it
consult
down
with
into smaller
Sam as well.
MRs, like
Yeah.
figure out what needs to be done in terms of actual smaller tasks first,
Yeah.
and then yeah, start working on it.
And yeah,
Exactly.
and discuss with Sam as well to see how that
Yeah.
interferes with our plans, etc. and
Yeah,
find any
exactly.
edge cases. Okay, yeah, just making sure I know what's expected of us. Cheers.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm guessing like we should probably feature flag it with something, a new flag, right? Sorry.
Um, See, I think I'll tell you what. We have the flows feature flag already. There's a like a AI catalog flows feature flag, which is sort of you know off currently in production. But what I'm thinking is that, when we release this, we just use everything behind the same AI flows feature flag. Honestly, the more feature flags we add, the more confusing it is for the field to figure out what is enabled, what is not enabled. So I'm thinking we just use the existing feature flags for this, but I'm happy to, like, if you guys think otherwise, then I'm happy to take your stay here. Like, because flows today are not functional. Like, they're not functional in GitLab.com. Like, you can't use them, right? And so the idea is that if we start introducing this, we'll at least be able to use them. But as you're writing the code, you may realize, hey, we probably need a feature flag for X, and then, that's fine, I guess. Um,
Okay. Okay. Should we use the flows flag or the third party flows flag?
no, this is not related to third party flows. This should be flows. Like, this is for
Flows. Okay.
flows. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Both third party, like, I would like to consolidate the third party and flows flag as well, just to one flag. But yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess we wouldn't be releasing other flow stuff without this, so we might as
Yeah,
well use the same feature flag. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, there have been discussions about third-party flows and whether those are the right names still. We want to maybe have them all be just flows eventually, but I think we made the right choice having that separate for now. And then when everything else is enabled, we will remove the feature flags anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can consolidate later.
My understanding of that discussion is that we might gravitate to removing the flows and calling it agents, like everything is an agent. So yeah, we'll see how that works.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, let me know if you guys have got any other questions. I like to set up like a twice a week sync. Um, it could be a quick sync. What time works for you guys? Is it this time works for you guys? Is it afternoon?
This time works for me.
Yeah, this
Okay.
time works for me as well.
Okay. So I'll set up
Justin,
a sync.
are you in Vietnam for much longer? Do you know? Are you coming back to Berlin?
4 more weeks.
4 more weeks. Okay, yeah.
Five weeks. Yeah.
10 works fine because it's still working hours for you then.
Yeah.
Right.
I plan it basically. I'll be back after we release the whole
Okay,
thing.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So let's just then I'll set up a twice a week sync. And then yeah, let me know. As you guys sort of do the work breakdown into like smaller tasks, can you send me that task list so I can just keep a track of what all is happening and what's missing, etc. So if you guys could just go back and have a discussion and decide what are the tasks involved here, and then just send that list to me so that I can start like
Sure.
tracking them and sending the status out, etc.
We can probably create an epic and have everything under the epic.
That'll be great. Can you
Right.
please just use the agent identity epic and just create everything underneath that epic? I already created a few issues in there, but they're quite high level. So we can close those issues and add it to the thing, but just create it under that one epic.
Okay. I might need like half a day to think about the
Yeah,
front end and how it works. So
yeah. Absolutely. Take your time. But 18.6 is
yeah,
18.6 is the
but not too
target, so
much
we don't
time.
have a lot of time. But yeah, I do realize you guys need to go back and think about this as well. And I'll try to push up the MR today so that you guys at least have all the code. But there's a lot of code that was in this, and so it's not at all even close to be mergeable. So, but I'll send that guys to you guys
Uh,
anyway.
And Igor is not involved in this at all, right? It's just
No,
us.
Igor.
Okay.
No, Igor's not involved in this.
Okay.
Igor's busy trying to fix reliability for
Fair enough.
Buffalo. All right.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Thanks
Bye.
for your time. Bye.